On last week's podcast, we warned you that the Stags would lose at Northampton. Why? Well, because it was another outing for Mansfield Matters away travel, whose motto is quite simply this: a brilliant day out, ruined as ever by the football. I mean, let's be honest, we knew we were going to be in for a bad afternoon when, within the first 2 minutes, the usually cool Dave makes not one, but two absolute howling errors. Fortunately, they didn't lead to opening goals in the opening couple of minutes, but you did get the sense that the Stags would be facing an uphill battle. Even when Rhys Oates scored another perler, we were still thinking this could still end badly. And it did, because in the second half, the Stags completely lost their focus, leading to a Nigel Clough rant. Was he right or was he wrong? Join us to discuss all of that and much, much more in between as the Stags prepare for an international break. 2 weeks where they'll be left feeling a bit crap and licking their wounds. Let's try and cheer you up, shall we? On the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because win, lose or draw, Mansfield always matters. Hello everyone and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield matters. Hope you're doing all right. I hope your Tuesday's going all right, of course. A lot of you be thinking, Craig, you're wrecking my week yet again, because I set a reminder for a Thursday to put it on the telly at 7:30. It's Tuesday. What are you doing to me? Well, with no game on Saturday, we thought it best just to get it out of the way and, you know, do the podcast now, and then we can all switch off, forget about it, and we can focus our energies on channeling our thoughts towards those judges in Leeds to make us win the Football Content Award. We'll try and bring some happiness towards you tonight as we reflect on Northampton and a lot more in between. And to do that, I've assembled a crack panel of people who are here to bring nothing but joy and light to the podcast. Nothing but positive vibes, nothing but positive things to say about positive Mansfield Town. Let's delve into it then, shall we, and see who those three people are and see if I'm right. Well, the first one is this fella.
Evening, Craig.
It's Jim. Evening. Positivity and light?
Yeah, I mean, Saturday was disappointing, but overall, can't grumble, so pretty positive, yeah, I think so.
Well, we'll see how that plays out as the rest of the show goes on, shall we? Another man who's guaranteed to bring positivity and light, well, at least a haircut. It's Clive Parkin. Evening, Clive.
Evening, Craig. Evening, everybody.
And completing our trio of Stags fans tonight, we've got the man who's got more shirts than a Sports Direct warehouse. It's Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame. Evening.
Hello, Craig. Hello, everyone. Positivity all the way. Absolutely.
Always positivity on this show. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. As ever, if you want to have your say on your team, get involved in the comments below. Anything you want to talk about, reflecting on Northampton or anything Mansfield Town related, get them in the comments and have your say on your team. Right, let's delve straight into it then, Nick. You knew it was going to be a bad afternoon on Saturday before we even set off, because, like we said on last week's podcast, Mansfield Matters away travel were making the journey. I don't think we've seen us win in the league, at least, for well over a year when we've been to an away game. And it was yet another stereotypical Mansfield Matters away day, which, great day out, ruined by the football.
Yeah, it's definitely more than a year. I think it was Wigan, wasn't it? Wigan away last year. Was it October? And since then, we've had some stinkers. And every time we seem to miss it, for some reason or another, they seem to win. So, unfortunately for everybody else, we're going to Cardiff. So, you know, good luck. Yeah, it was. I think, to be honest, it started, other than my dad's bewilderment at the price of Costa coffee, it started off pretty badly when Dave had a bit of a howler, didn't he, a few minutes in? And I think, to be honest, we started similar to, if we can think back to Wickham away that we all went to. We started a little bit like that, where we just started really turgid and we didn't look particularly threatening and we were giving the ball away. It sort of peaked, got a bit better end of the first half. I thought we really looked comfortable at 1-0, and we looked at the table, and I unfortunately said to Clive and yourself, Craig, that we're 3 points off the top at the minute. Clive then said to me that was a stupid thing to say, and he was right, because within about 10 minutes we weren't 3 points off the top, and it all went downhill from there.
Clive, it did go all downhill from there, and I think the lesson learnt from Saturday was don't let Nick speak.
I did say at the time, shut your bloody mouth, but because it's too late then, it was out there. And as Tony Soprano said in the series of the same name, you can't put the shit back in the donkey.
Oh,
but you can try.
So I've already got to turn it to explicit language. Thanks, Clive.
Sorry. Well, the more polite version, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. But since when have I been polite?
That's very, very true.
But,
Jim,
you're right, though, Craig. We start off with our best player, the most reliable player. It looked like he'd been out on the beer the night before. He was off the pace. He was a bit addled. He didn't know what to do when the ball was at his foot, and so he gave it to them. Why we didn't concede in the first couple of minutes is beyond me, because we gave them every chance. It got a little bit better, and certainly in the first half, I thought they were the strongest team.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, but indeed. Jim, looking at it back home, when the team news came out, because I know we had a conversation about this a few weeks ago, didn't we, about sort of keeping the same team every week and, that need sooner rather than later for fresher legs. When you saw that Nigel Clough had kept it unchanged again, was there a seed of doubt growing a little bit stronger in your mind?
No, because I think we have been playing okay, and I think if a team's doing all right, you don't change it. So I've got no problem with that. But I would say, pick up on Clive's point about Dave, I think he's not looked right since he's come back. Whether it's something with his body he's not confident with 100% or mental, I don't know. But he's not 100%. He's not the Dave we saw last season. No, I was happy enough with the team. It was the same frailties that we've had for months, really, perhaps a couple of years that undid us Saturday. But we are where we are. Like he said in his interview afterwards, we're not all that yet, and it's as simple as that. It's not as a great surprise. We have got frailties. No,
it's not. And I think one of the big concerns for me, Nick, is the way in which we look at what we've got waiting in, lying in wait, and we've got these numerous injuries still clocking up, and you just know that when Dave's not on his game, that something is amiss. And I'm starting to wonder now. Yes, the international break will do us a bit of good in terms of being able to rest, but we maybe need to look at freshening up that back line again, because I think, like Jim mentioned there, he hasn't quite been the Dave we fell in love with last season. And sometimes when you rush a player back from injury or throw them in, without a little bit of training, no matter how experienced they are, it doesn't always go well. And I think Matt's probably hinted to it most in his comment, Nick, about, that little bit of erraticness maybe creeping in.
Yeah, I think the one guy who's been done a little bit dirty in this is Jordan Barry, because he was playing centre-back and was probably our best player this season. And I don't think, for me, other than maybe Tyler Roberts creeping up that way, I don't think anyone's been better than Jordan Barry. McDonnell and Roberts have been up there, but so I think he was really unlucky to lose his place when Dave came back. I understand why he threw him in, certainly in the Rotherham games. I think Barry was out that game.
Yeah, he was injured.
But yeah, which was unfortunate, because I don't think Dave would have come back in that day. I think Barry would still be playing now, and I think Dave would maybe have then had the odd half an hour here and there. But I think with Clough and his loyalty, I think he's brought Dave back, and then because Dave played well in a couple of games, he's kept him in. But for me, I would have no issue with Jordan coming back in. You've also got Cargill to come back as well. So I don't think we're light in that area. I just think maybe the loyalty of giving Dave a couple of extra matches that he didn't really need when Jordan could have come back. I don't know Jordan's fitness level, but he has played since, hasn't he? So I would have liked to have probably seen Jordan back in. And maybe after the international break, it'll either give chance for Dave to get his act together a little bit, or it's a chance for Jordan to play. I don't think we lose anything from that. But if we're slightly off the pace, and we could have been 3 points off the top in November, I'd have snapped your hand off, your arm off, and every other part of you off for that. And I think a lot of teams would certainly want to be where we are. But yeah, we just need to, like I think Matt said about the international break, just stop, take stock, get a few players back. Hopefully, I don't know what the synopsis is with Roberts, but get a few players back and go again.
Yeah, staying on the subject of Dave for just a minute, Clive, because Nigel Clough did sort of highlight his errors a little bit, and Nick mentioned loyalty in there. Well, one player he's been tremendously loyal to, as we know, is Lucas Akins. We're not bothered at all about the off sort of pitch stuff. We can only concentrate, like we mentioned on the podcast after it happened, about the on pitch stuff now. And to be honest, I think that that bit Nigel Clough on the backside a little bit on Saturday, because it was clear that he wasn't the right person to come on, and he didn't quite look ready to be involved on Saturday. It was a little bit of a strange substitution for me, that one, especially when you've got sort of young energy in Max Dickoff itching to come on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love Lucas Akins to death. I think he's a tremendous bloke as a person, and he's always given his all to the club. And obviously, he's in a long association with the management team, so you can understand why they are loyal to him. And that loyalty was needed in recent months, and they've honoured him in all sorts of ways. But his best football's behind him now, and I don't think he's good enough for the football we're now playing. So I'm not quite sure where he fits. At best, he's a bench warmer, and I agree with you. I thought bringing him on instead of Dickoff, where we need a bit of pace, because we were lacking pace, seemed to me the wrong decision. But we needed something he can't provide, and that's an implied criticism of the selection.
Yeah, absolutely. I've named this episode Jim Lost Focus, because it did seem very much like we lost our focus, not just in the second half, where, let's be honest, we absolutely crumbled and fell to pieces. I think we felt like we were on a beach. I think the mentality was, we're almost like with 3 or 4 goals up and coasting, when we really weren't. It only would take one moment to change the game. But in key moments all throughout that game, we lost our focus. Not just Dave in the first couple of minutes, giving away a silly set piece and then messing up from a goal kick a minute or so later, but also in numerous situations we created at the other end. I know a lot of people were like, well, why is he criticising Rhys Oates? I actually understood that criticism, because he got into some really good positions 3 or 4 times, Jim, but either the delivery wasn't right, the choice of pass wasn't right, or we just didn't seem to have that sharp switched on. It was almost like we were playing with a little bit of fog.
Well, our sort of lack of quality in the final third, attacking-wise, has been evident for a while, hasn't it? Our conversion rate for situations and chances is poor, and that is one of the things that is a team problem at the moment. There's no doubt about it. I think it's a bit harsh to criticise Oates, because I think, not everything was perfect, but I thought he was really good, to be fair, and I didn't think he could do a lot else than what he did. I think there's a bit of Clough keeping him grounded, like his old man used to do when someone's done well. I don't think you could discount a bit of that. But I think for me, it's not just that. Obviously it's that we don't score enough chances. But I mean, look at that centre back partnership on Saturday. That was aerially, it wasn't great. Crosses and high balls. That partnership's not good. And for me, another one, which is another team failing, and even a Clough failing, is what's our plan B when we go behind? We don't mix it up. You look at, they brought Eves on at half time, and it really changed the game. And we don't seem to mix it up or change it. We just stick with the same old ploy, and when the other team get comfortable with it, we don't seem to have any other answer to it. And to me, that is a weakness of the whole football group. But just back to the Akins point, if I can, I think apparently he got some stick online, and I think that's disgusting, to be honest with you. I thought we're drawing a line under all that, and I would encourage people to do the same. And I take the point on a football level about, was he the answer to bring on? Maybe not, but you look at the bench, he obviously doesn't trust Dickoff. For some reason, he obviously doesn't. And we didn't really have anybody else who he could have brought on, in all fairness to Clough. If Bolton had been fit, I'm sure he'd have been involved. But I don't think there was anybody else to bring on, and I think that's why he came on. But please, if anybody's got a brain in the head, just leave Lucas alone now. I don't want to say out about it again. I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about having a brain in your head. Well, he has got one in his head, Nick, because he does fall under the category of international footballer. I'm not going to say it's as severe as the Ben Waine connection. When you say Ben Waine international footballer in the same sentence, you think, what are you talking about? But I wish a part of the brain in his head had a little bit more footballing ability, because little Nobby Welsh again, you know, it's like pulling your teeth out sometimes. It's you know what it's like. It's like speaking to a dog who's just a puppy and looking at you going, I don't know what you're talking about, but I know you're going to give me a treat.
Ah, dear. I don't know what to do with this fella. You know what? I really don't. I think me and Clive spoke about it before when we've been on the way back from games. And when we're on the break and you can get the ball out to him quick, he's a real asset. He gets his head down, he runs, he can pick a pass out of nowhere. You know, he's set up 2 or 3 goals recently, but any other time, he doesn't trap back. So he really, you know, you look at Noyle's face half the time and he's looking on the other side and seeing Oatsy track back and help Macca out. And then he looks at what he's got in front of him and he's essentially got a toddler in front of him. And he looks up and goes, what? This guy's not tracking back. He's not getting stuck in. And I think as fans, you just want to see players get stuck in. They don't have to be the best players in the world. They're not going to be the best players in the world because they're playing for Mansfield. That's the crux of it. Yeah. But there's certain players who you go, I don't expect Tyler Roberts to get stuck in because he doesn't need to. That's not his game. He drifts about, he gets the ball. But when you're on the right wing and Clough demands that you trap back, I don't see how he keeps getting a game because he doesn't trap back. He doesn't get stuck in. He gives the ball away far too easy. I mean, I don't know if I was on after the Harrogate game. I don't think that pass he played forward. What was that? We had the corner. It came to him on the edge of the 18, and he just looked up and was like, "What do I do with it now?" And he just passed it 10 yards forward to their fullback. Like, what
I was
are you doing?
After that game.
What are you doing?
I was convinced Clough would drop him because when he did that, I remember I've got vivid memories of him storming out of his technical area.
Yeah, he did. He went mental.
What are you
doing?
Went
absolutely mental. So I honestly don't know what to say with Mariah Welsh because there's a footballer in there somewhere.
Sorry, who?
Nobby Welsh. Sorry, there's a footballer in there somewhere. It's nearly Christmas. Mariah just came out. I'm sorry.
She does this time of year.
All I want for Christmas is him to get stuck in. But I don't get it. I don't know what he's doing, and I don't want to slag off a player because, like Jim said, it's very easy to criticise, and he'll become the scapegoat now. You see it on Facebook. There's 50, 60 comments of he's crap. I don't think he's crap. I just, in this system, with Roberts playing that sort of free role, we can't have 2 players doing nothing because he doesn't contribute what Roberts contributes. So if he's going to be in the team, he has to step up or step off.
Yeah, those two wingers, whichever side of the pitch the opposition are on, if they're coming down our right hand side, you know, that person on that side's got to track back and become the 5th defender.
Look at Evans as well. Like Evans and Oates are the people he's trying to follow in the footsteps of. They work their absolute socks off.
Yeah, it's frustrating at times. It really is. But like Simon in the comments says, Clive, little Nobby Welsh, Nigel must see something. Played every game. What's frustrating is he loses the ball, runs back, but doesn't put a tackle in. Some good movements and assists though. And to be fair, you know, as much as we sit in frustration, sometimes we think, oh, don't put it out there to him. No, he's giving it him. And then 1 in 5, you get bloody hell, that were a good ball in, weren't it?
Yeah, I've given little Nobby Welsh a lot of thought, and I've looked at the stats, and I've considered his mileage, I've considered his interceptions, I've considered all the things that we measure people on, and I've come to the conclusion he's a lazy little sod.
How long did that take you, Clive, to come to that conclusion?
This all defies logic. Clough likes players to work hard in and out of position, and to use the well-oiled phrase, to track back. He doesn't do it. If he does do it, to pick up on the comment, he doesn't put his foot where it hurts. You know, everybody out there is giving their all. He doesn't appear to be. Now, it could be an illusion. It could be that he's working really hard, and when I'm not looking at him, he's doing really good things. Unfortunately, when I do look at him, apart from the odd brilliant pass, he's not contributing. I'd have him out of the team.
Well, I think we'd all agree on that one and try and shake it up. It's be interesting to see what happens when Luke Bolton is back, Jim, because I think he'll be the prime person for that right hand side. I think once he can get fit, he'll be Clough's first choice down that right hand side if we are still playing with the 4-2-3-1 by the time he does return, because who knows when that will be.
Oh, I think Bolton's definitely better than Nobby in that position. I think you got to remember he is still a young lad, Nobby Welsh. He's got it all in his locker. He can do everything. It's just very, very disjointed.
Take it out of his locker and put it on the pitch.
Well, I think he's just raw. He seems to want too much time on the ball for me. I would say that. But I think it's all very raw, and it seems like he needs to be at a lower level for a bit while he's developing. But he's got the tools. He just doesn't know which one to pick up. And I think as soon as Bolton's fit, he's a bit more experienced. He's a bit more streetwise, and I think he's just better. And he'll be back in. And I don't see a change in formation.
Can we stop signing players from Scotland?
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweeney, Bacchus, Mariah Welsh, Murphy. Can we just stop? Can we block Nigel Clough's car or Simon Clough so it can't go up north of the border anymore?
It just breaks down after Carlisle. It just goes, nah, not doing it anymore. Probably a wise thing. Speaking about players that we're going to miss, though, because obviously we are missing a fair few. Luke Bolton being one of them. Let's think of some others off the top of my head. Elliot Hewitt's missing. Bailey Cargill's missing. Regan Hendry. There's a lot that's on that treatment table again. The medical wingers, I think, has just added a third floor at the RH Academy to cope with them all yet again. But one person that's just joined the Hugh Clive is Tyler Roberts. And as Dale says in the comments, it shows how much we're going to miss Tyler Roberts after he went off injured, how we performed in the second half. As much as we love Giorgio Mauricio, Alan especially, he came on in that position, but the role and the execution of it was very, very different. Two very different players, and it just shows what happens when you take somebody with the quality of Tyler Roberts out of the equation. We do lose that 10%.
Yeah, there's nobody else in the squad like Tyler Roberts, though, is there? So if that's the case, if you lose him, then you've got to think again about the formation. And, do we stick with the one that we started with in the last few games, or do we go back to a 3? I don't know. There's ways of dealing with that. And we found in certain formations our midfield was over busy. There's too many people in there, and therefore they weren't being as clinical as they could be. We've been running with 2 midfielders, and by and large they've had more space than they can make best use of. I don't think we necessarily have the right pairing at the moment in the middle. I think we're missing Reid because he's insightfulness. Whether, in fact, we work with a different formation to give us a few more options, because we were very much dependent on Roberts. He was the kingpin. And as soon as he went off, our game changed. And as Jim says, they brought a couple of players on who just put height at the front, and we couldn't cope with it. But that's not Roberts' fault. That's the gaffer's fault, I suppose. He should be reading the game like their gaffer did.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one. And like Simon in the comments says, Jim, he is a championship quality player, Tyler Roberts, and it does show.
Yeah, the first point I'd make is let's not get drawn into false economy here. Every team up and down the country has got injuries. It's not like we're the only team with injuries. Everybody's battling it. And it's just how you adapt, isn't it? I think the teams who respond to it better will prosper. But yeah, he is. I mean, I'd like to think we could get it permanently. I'll put it out there. I think he's probably the top end of what we could get permanently. But I think that I get the impression that might be on the table if everything can come together with that. I'm not getting my hopes up, but I think it's possible. But as like Clive said, there's no one in the squad who can do what he does to the level he does it. And he was really starting to thrive. Like he doesn't seem to thrive particularly anywhere else in his recent career. And I really like him. If we could get him permanently, I'd be over the moon. But,
just trying to find out when his contract expires at Birmingham.
I think wages are the problem, aren't they? He was on 35 grand a week at Leeds. I think he's on half of that probably at Birmingham. Unless he wants to drop even half of that, we wouldn't be able to afford even half his wages, would we? Let's be frank.
It says in June 2023, he signed a 4-year contract with them. So what's that? 24, 25, 26, end of 2027. So it's highly unlikely. I don't see Birmingham wanting to.
Wages, isn't it?
They'll command a massive fee, and like you say, wages are probably going to be out of our league.
But you look at his recent career; he's been very unloved. And I think it's more of a case of if our biggest card to play with Tyler Roberts is make him feel loved, make him feel part of the group and a real part, integral part of things, to the point where he wants to play for us and he wants to play for the manager. And I think you look at his recent last few years, he needs to find a home. And if you're Tyler Roberts, do you sign for Cardiff or whoever for a few extra greasy grand and sit on the bench and be miserable, or do you play somewhere where you really found a place where you fit in? And I think that's our best card to play with him.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think that's a good point, though, isn't it, Clive? Because one thing Nigel Clough is good at, as we saw in the video last week, is creating a place which feels like home, creating a place which is doused in not just hard work, but surrounded by love and care. And, we've seen it before, haven't we? Players who we wouldn't expect to buy into it do and then stay. So maybe, as outlandish as it sounds, it might be the sweetener that we need to try and get him if we're looking to be ambitious within the next 2 or 3 years. Look at what we did with with Lee Gregory when we offered him we were looking to offer him a deal in the January when we went up. It would have been on the proviso that we get promotion, and there would have been certain other players that we brought in that season as well, which was about trying to get promotion. So it might be the little sweet pill to swallow.
Yeah, you're asking a lot, though. I don't know how anybody can possibly live on about £5,000 or £6,000 a week, which is probably our maximum wage. I don't know. I couldn't live on that, could you?
No, couldn't do that.
The reality is the player has a contract, and that contract rewards him at a level. Now, he may be able to afford to take a significant drop from that. Would he do that in return for being wanted and being integral? I'm not sure. Nobody else can answer that question except the player. We do succeed in getting players because of the environment. We also get players because they live reasonably close to the training ground. I don't know where Roberts lives. I'm not sure. I think I'm with Jim. I'd love to have him on board, but I just think it's probably a bridge too far.
You have to think with the clubs that he's been at recently that he's relatively Midlandsy, which would be a tie to try and keep him here. But I guess it depends on his personal circumstances as well, and the injury record and all of that sort of stuff in between as well. But it's an interesting quandary to have. And certainly sort of going forward, it might be one to look at. But you never know how people are going to respond when they've been out of the side or whatever. And we've had it before, haven't we, where we've chased loan players, signed them on a permanent, and all of a sudden they're a different player overnight. But I guess it's a nice one to have for another day, that's for sure. One thing I want to think about though with that, Nick, is what's the ambition with us this season? Because it's quite funny. You look at the league table. You mentioned earlier you were like at one point when we won, look, we were a couple of points off the playoffs, and we had that run last year where we were sort of up there and competing, and we've started well, and we're in a little bit of, I'd say, good form. Northampton aside at the minute. What is our ambition for this season? Because if you're saying, we're going to be trying to chase the playoffs this year, then Saturday wasn't good enough. But if you're saying that we're just here to survive again and just gradually improve on last season, then, well, actually, you can accept what happened on Saturday, because that's just going to happen over the course of the season. It's the law of averages. It's where you sit on the fence. Where does the land lie?
Yeah, I think for me, the club, I guess, internally might have different priorities or different goals towards. But for a club of our size that's been in this league once in my 33 years on this planet, for me, it's all about improvement season on season, if you can, and getting a better squad. I'd like to think that improvement might be more than 16th as opposed to 17th last year, or whatever. But for me, it's just about improvement. If we can stay stable, get better, slowly get the squad better, get 2 or 3, you can't argue that the players we've signed this year are better than the likes of Hiram Boateng and whoever the likes might have left last year. We've definitely got a better squad. So if we can have a better squad year on year, keep high attendances and all the likes, and keep the improvements off the field and finish slightly higher every year, then, for me, that's kind of all I want. I don't know whether the club are different. I can't see anyone at the club asking Nigel to get anywhere near the playoffs this year based on last season, considering we won 2 out of 22 at the end of last season. So I think the club's ambition would have been just finish better than last year. And I don't think anything changes, despite us being 3 points off top had we have won on Saturday. I don't think, for me at the minute, that changes anything.
What, with that in mind, then, Jim, what do you think Nigel Clough was most frustrated about on Saturday? Because he did come out and he was the rantiest that he'd been for a while.
I think for me, and he saw the same game we did. Obviously, it was we lost on basics. That's what pissed me off. The first goal, we had 2 or 3 attempts to clear that, including Liam Roberts. But I'm not going to go in too hard on. I think we lost on the basics, but including him, I think he was angry at himself as well. But like I say, there was no plan B. But I think you also, like that Nick says, we had a terrible record since Christmas last season, and we've got to remember where we've come from, and we aren't all that. And this season, actually, I think it's all relative, and the league isn't as strong this year as it was last year, I think. And I'd agree. I think it's just about consolidating, improving a little bit, and the squad is better. But I think it's still frustrating when you lose on basics and, stuff that you'd expect to see in a National League side that we weren't doing on Saturday. I think that really frustrated him. And I think that perhaps a little bit of complacency with some of them, I don't know. But what I would say about, the aims within the club, it's got to be evolution, not revolution. There's no point going up anytime in the next couple of years, really, till we are ready to stay up. Otherwise, you just come straight back down. And I think it's growth at the right pace, on and off the pitch. For me.
Yeah, I think on and off the pitch is key, Clive, as well, because obviously it's the first season where we've had the Jordan Barry Bishop Street stand in place with the 750 odd additional seats. Is it having an effect on the attendances? Are they creeping up? Maybe a little, but not by much. It just feels that people are just spreading out a little bit. Maybe it's added 200 or so. Is it having an impact on revenue off the pitch? Do we need to be at a point where we're selling out again week in, week out to look to build on the pitch? And I guess it's all relative, isn't it? Because we need to improve. We need to continue the growth off of the pitch before we can properly invest with it on. Because one thing that the Radfords are not going to do is sign big checks and throw money at it.
No, I think the reality is we are where we are because of Clough. He, as we speak, we're 37 places higher in league standing than we were when he came. Now, given that we've had some real knocks, especially around injuries in that time, that's quite an accomplishment. So to pick up on Nick's point, I think consolidation is important. Now, having said that, if we were starting to perform better than we have and bang a few goals in, then we'd be nudging around the playoffs and we'd all get more excited about it. And it's that little bit of lack of excitement this year that's not bringing those extra fans in that fill the extra seats we just put in. But it wouldn't take much to kickstart that enthusiasm. But you're right, we have 6,000 odd guaranteed attendance because of the season ticket sales, and around 1,000 other home fans on top of that. That's where we are. Bishop Street Stand hasn't really changed that. It's given people an opportunity to sit somewhere else, and it's given us the scope if demand increases. And there were a couple of occasions last season when we ran out of tickets for home fans. If we can avoid that, then it's worth doing. But the whole thing needed doing anyway. It was an embarrassment. So that aside, I think the club's well placed to either consolidate or, with a bit of a tailwind, to challenge. I think the Radfords have probably put in to one side a bit of a war chest, because if we do go up, when we go up, whether it's this season or next season or whenever, the cost of running the football club is exponentially higher, and we can't guarantee get enough people through the gate to cover that. It's got to come in other commercial areas, and the work that's being done commercially at the football club at the moment is starting to pay off.
Yeah,
the extra tickets we sell when we do sell out will go into that pool of resource. We're not very good at selling players, although we did sell Keeler Dunn. And I don't see evidence of us having spent that money anywhere on the field. So I suspect we're just keeping our powder dry a little bit this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Anything Mansfield Town related you want to talk about, get them in the comments and have your say on your team. Right, we'll go through the podcast predictions results very, very shortly indeed. And we'll continue to talk all about the Stags. Why? Well, because Mansfield matters and so does ad revenue.
Protect what matters most with Actifier Limited.
Your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifier Limited today or visit actifier.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifier Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.
We're the Mansfield Matters crew, making podcasts just for you. Some show up, some disappear, but the Stags bring us all here. Through the ups and downs we stay, talking Mansfield Town every day.
You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday evening. Apologies that it's not a Thursday. I'm sorry. Don't send me hate mail. We just want to get it out the way. And a quick reminder that there'll be no podcast next Thursday because, Nick will be on holiday. He'll be refreshing his phone, looking for updates in the group chat. Jim will be pacing up and down at work, unable to concentrate on carrying glass safely because he'll be thinking, I need to get on my phone on my designated break and see what the latest updates is. Clive will be trying not to spill some fancy food down his expensive dinner jacket, and I'll be trying my hardest to practice my well done, you've won, we're gutted we didn't win face because it's the Football Content Awards. It's finally here. We're looking forward to that next Thursday. So no podcast next week. But hopefully, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be saying hello and welcome to officially the best podcast in the Football League. Thanks so much for your votes on that, by the way. We'll find out what happens next Thursday. Anyway, let's continue to talk all about Mansfield Town, shall we? Why? Well, because none of us can be bothered to go back to doing what we were doing beforehand, and because Mansfield matters. I was thinking during that little ad break, I know, be careful, about actually what would we be happy with. And then I spotted this comment from Keeley, who's been in touch, and says, I'd love to see us get to the Championship, but I'd love it more for us to become an established League One club, and I believe that we can do that with a little bit of work. Will Evans and Aaron Lewis have come on brilliantly since they joined the club and have the potential to become better too. And I think that really, Nick, is probably absolutely spot on. I don't want to see us bob down to League Two again. I think it's a rubbish league. It took us far too long to get out of it, and to be honest, all it takes is one bad season, as we know, to be flirting with too much danger. We've got a League One fan base. We've got a League One training ground. We've got a League One stadium, and all of those can be improved to a different level. So maybe it should be that we flirt with the Championship via the playoffs or whatever, but with the core being to establish ourselves steadily in League One and utilise the players that we've got to develop them to become sellable assets to allow us to grow for a long-term future. Because the last thing we want to do is, sit on a rocket, go up the leagues very quickly, and all of a sudden find ourselves staring at the bank balance thinking, yeah, how are we going to pay for all this and how are we going to sustain this?
I think the two examples I like in this league is Stevenage and Lincoln. Very similar sized clubs to ourselves. Regularly do good business. Don't go too high. Don't go too low. What you don't want to be is you look at Peterborough, have gone up and down, up and down, up and down, and they've lost all their good players. They haven't been able to replace them, and they're staring at League Two. And other clubs have done the same. Rotherham have been up and down, and now they're looking down as well. So for me, clubs like Lincoln and Stevenage, who seem to be sustainable clubs, they both get attendances in and around. Stevenage is obviously lower than ours, but Lincoln is sort of around our level. They flirt with the playoffs. They flirt with automatics. And I think that's the sort of, there's no reason why we can't do that. We just need to survive for 3, 4, 5 seasons in this league. and grow sustainably as we do it, replacing the odd player here and there with better players, like you say, selling one if we manage to get a gem from somewhere. I'd love to see some of our young players come through from the academy. I don't think that probably gets spoke about enough. I'd like to see something come from that. But we are the club size we are, and I think mid-table of League One is about where we should be at the minute. And if we every season replace 3 average players with 3 better players, and so on and so forth, hopefully, if you don't lose too many, then it naturally happens. But the big thing for this club is going to be when Clough goes, is what on earth we do after that. Because if we get that wrong, that's when we'll have issues. But that's a chat for another day, I'm sure.
Yeah, it certainly is. Jim, what about you? We're thinking about what Keely said in her comment and what Nick's just said there. Where do you sit with it?
I think long term we want to see another promotion. I'll be honest. And John Rafford's alluded to that, hasn't he? He says he wants to get into the Championship. But again, I go back to my earlier point. Only when we are ready to stay up sustainably, and it's a big jump from League One to the Championship, particularly financially. Again, it's on and off the pitch, and you want it so if you do go up and if you do come back down, you're not in a tailspin back down to League Two with another relegation. So if that's 3-4 seasons while we consolidate and grow further, then that's it. But I'd like to see us go up, but only when we are properly ready. I mean, look at Plymouth. They're bottom of League One now, and they're in the Championship less than a year ago. But it's an example of what can happen. But I do agree with Keely's point, though. I'd sooner stay in League One than just bomb straight back out of the Championship and struggle and come back down and struggle. I'd sooner be just a decent League One club. But you have got to have aims. You can't just tread water. Because if you don't push forward, you slide backwards, don't you? Like anything in life. So I think you've got to have aims at the right pace and be sensible about it.
Yeah, it's the patience factor more than anything, isn't it, Clive?
Yeah.
It is. We're all impatient, though, aren't we? It's a human nature. Football fans give them a little bit of a lift, and of course they want it to continue. And a lot of fans find it very difficult after having some euphoria of a promotion or whatever to settle for consolidation. It's human nature. But and a lot of the kids haven't seen much of Mansfield compared to some of us older guys. I mean, I'm actually the only one on this podcast who remembers the last time we were in the Championship. It wasn't called the Championship in those days, but it was the second tier, and we won
during the war.
Yeah, we won the league the previous year, beating the likes of Wrexham, Brighton, Crystal Palace to get there with a squad of 18 players. Nobody had invented injuries in those days. We certainly didn't have the training ground. We didn't have the recovery facilities. We didn't have the analyst. Didn't have the videographer. Didn't have all the trappings of what we now have. We seem to play football on all sorts of pitches. We played Tottenham that season when we were in the second flight.
Stop it.
We did play them twice, and when we played them at our ground,
Home and away.
Huh?
Home and away.
Can we put Clive in black and white? Can you put a filter on him while he's talking about it? Is that possible?
And it was lousy weather at home, and the pitch was like a big sheet of gravy. It was look on the YouTube and look at it. That we opened that season against Stoke City, who'd come down from the top flight. 16, that's nearly 17,000 people at Field Mill, and all sorts of trouble, and horses on the pitch, and all sorts of stuff. Well, we don't want that again. But we came down again. We weren't bottom. We came second bottom. Hull was the worst team in the league. We were second. We don't want that experience. If we're going to go up, we need to have the capability of staying up. I think we're proving we've got the capability of staying in this league at the moment. It's when you make the second charge. I think most of us are happy where we are at the moment, but that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't have ambition or aims, to use Jim's point. We should have a strategy in place for what we do. I guess some form of timescale as well. Now, nobody knows when things can happen, and best laid plans and all that, they can fall over. But if anybody had asked me if we can finish around 8th or 9th in this league this year, at the beginning, I'd have taken it. And I think that's the common sense view. It might not be the most exciting thing to aspire to, but I think where we are is where we should be. Our recent form has put us where we are. We're going to lose some games. We deserve to lose on Northampton. We're going to lose other games in a disappointing fashion, I'm sure. But let's keep building.
Yeah.
I don't know what the question was now after all that.
Me neither, but speaking of...
Something about horses and Stoke and gravy. Something.
Yeah.
I think it's time for his meds again. Speaking for time for things and to there you go.
Yeah.
He's necking him down now. His alarm's gone off. His little wrist buzzer's going off. He'll have the carers coming in a minute. Speaking of winning, losing, and drawing, and what will be the scoring. Jim, what's coming? What am I about to do?
Podcast predictions.
He knows.
The game of the luck, who gives up, don't mess it up. I hear you say, how do you play? Win, lose or draw, then pick a score and one more thing. Pick a hero, don't score zero, that's the game. But we're not fools, this game has rules. It gets on time, you'll be fine, remember the rhyme. Podcast predictions. Remember the rhyme. Guess on time, you'll be fine. Remember the rhyme. That's predictions.
Yes, podcast predictions time then, and well, it was an interesting one on Saturday because very few people. I'm giggling away. I put myself full screen because I could see Clive in the background. Clive, hello, Scottish Clive.
Hello.
It's Jackie Stewart.
What is this?
Is this Talk F1? Formula One Matters.
What is this?
With Jackie Stewart.
Oh dear. Clive, what on earth? What's going off?
I'm
Why?
representing the Scottish contingent.
Have you been to watch
Didn't
Little
know
Nobby Welsh? Are you the fella who scouted Little Nobby Welsh?
I'm his agent.
What concerned me more what concerned me more is that Clive went to the back of his room and literally got out what appeared to be a dressing up box, and now I've gone completely off topic of podcast predictions. So I don't know
what's in that box, Clive.
I don't think we want to know.
I don't have a dressing up box, thank you. It was in a drawer.
Well,
why was that just in a drawer? Why is that just in a drawer? I'd have to find hours to find out if that was in my house.
Oh dear, right. Podcast predictions then. Absolutely nobody predicted a loss on Saturday, so it was a low-scoring week. The winner, if you didn't see it on social media, was Sarah, who got 13 points, thanks to saying that Stags would score 1 goal and her choice of Oates as fantasy captain. Now, 2 people fell foul of the same fantasy captain rule, which may surprise you that one of them was our Jim, so he lost 5 points. The other one, just to show, by the way, how much this game is not rigged and how much this game is fair, the other person who fell victim to the rule was that of the podcast predictions guru himself, the PPG, Ben. He selected the same player 2 weeks in a row and had to deduct 5 points off himself. So
I forgot, so I did better than them 2.
You did. So sometimes forgetting is probably a good thing, but not all the time. Anyway, the best player on the pitch in terms of fantasy points was Oates, who would have got you 9. Evans and McDonald would have got you 6. Akins, Blake Tracy, Bowery, Little Nobby Walsh and Dave got you 2. Everyone else who played got 1 and -5 for anyone else. In terms of current top 3s in the Mansfield Matters League, the top 3 are all on this podcast. The person in third with 111 points is Clive. The person in second with 122 points is Jim. Jim. If you'd have not selected the same player, it could be very different. But I'm very thankful you did, because leading the way with 129 is me. So
rigged.
Appreciate it. Not rigged. Overall standings, Chris Vincent is third with 151. Olivia Wilson in second on 150. And charging ahead in first place, Matt Piercy again, 181 points. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the comments. We're not going to do our predictions for the next game because it's a couple of weeks away yet, and I'll lose the bit of paper and forget to predict them. So we'll do it in our group chat. We might share them on social media, but the link that you need is in the description. So, breaking news. Why is it not working? Why is that not working? Oh, I'm on the wrong mic. That's not why. Oh, I was going to do the little voice effect thing. I realised that my microphone is plugged into
Award-winning content.
Award-winning content. Award-winning content. In a last-ditch attempt to try and make us win the Football Content Award, and just to cheer us up all after Saturday, I've got a real burning desire to do this.
Content loading. Selecting game. Game selected. Players stand by. What's in Craig's bucket?
Yes, what's in Craig's bucket is back, baby. If this doesn't win us a Football Content Award, I don't know what will. If you've not seen what's in Craig's bucket before, then where have you been for the last year or so? This is the gripping content that we all need. I have an item inside that bucket there.
Show it again.
What, this bucket here? That bucket there.
That is a bucket, I can confirm. This bucket was selected. Bucket number 6 was selected by our independent adjudicator last night.
It was indeed. It was actually bucket number 7, but there you go.
Oh, well.
Yeah. From the Delilah selection. Anyway, all that Jim, Nick, and Clive have to do is figure out what item is inside Craig's bucket. They have 4 questions each, and I can only answer them yes, no, or maybe, and maybe give them a bit of a steer along the way if I'm feeling a little bit generous. It's going to be Clive first, then Jim, then Nick. 4 questions each. Make them good, one after the other. Clive, Jim, then Nick. That's the order we're going to go in. So let's play What's in Craig's Bucket. Play along at home if you want to.
Can I eat it?
No.
Does it use batteries?
Jim?
No, it doesn't use batteries, but it does
Solar
need
powered.
power.
It does need what?
I'm not saying it again.
Is it football related?
No, well, maybe. I would say that this item would possibly be used as part of somebody's role within football.
Is it an individual item or part of a set?
It's an individual item.
Is it bright coloured?
This particular one is blue, black, white, and has a red light.
Could I buy this item from Curry's? Other electronic shops are available.
Yes. I don't know why you'd buy it from Curry's. It would be quite expensive from there, but you could buy it from Curry's.
Okay.
You get them cheaper elsewhere. Right.
Do you think my Uncle Michael might have one?
Your Uncle Michael? Yeah, I think he might. I've met your Uncle Michael. He seems like a very smart guy. I think he would, yes, I think he probably would possess one of these items.
Is it a walkie-talkie?
We can't guess what it is at this moment, Jim. Would you like another question?
Go on then.
5 points deduction.
Thank you.
Another one. Can you get him from Argos?
Yes.
I think I know what it is.
Does this thing fly?
Definitely not.
Oh, Wee Jock McTavish is back.
Wee Jock.
Does this item require a wire?
Does this item require a wire? Yes, it does.
Is this item reliable in its function?
Yes, it is reliable in its function if you use it correctly.
If I was to go on a week-long holiday to Barbados, would I take this item with me?
I don't think you would. I think you would probably be more inclined to use the one with the complimentary one within the hotel room. And with that, your 4 questions are up. So it's now time to guess what's in Craig's bucket. So first and foremost, Clive, what's in Craig's bucket?
Is it a hairdryer?
Jim, what's in Craig's bucket?
Walkie-talkie.
Nick, what's in Craig's bucket?
I've never had a complimentary walkie-talkie in a hotel. Just going to put that out there, Jim. I don't know what hotels you're staying in, but I've never had, and your complimentary walkie-talkies are on the bed. Go, thank you very much. I'll communicate with next door. Is it an alarm clock?
Oh, is it an alarm clock? I can tell you, gentlemen, that inside Craig's bucket, there is not a walkie-talkie. There is not an alarm clock. Clive, what was your guess?
Hairdryer.
Clive is the closest, but it is not a hairdryer. Ladies and gentlemen, inside Craig's bucket is an iron.
Oh my God, it's an iron.
It's an iron. That was the item inside Craig's bucket.
That's got to win. That's got to be better than any other offering. There's no other podcast that's got a man in a wig, a man who thinks that hotels come with walkie-talkies, and a man who's put an iron in a bucket. Craig.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not on any other podcast. You know, for people watching, they don't realise how good this is. You won't find that anywhere else.
It's so bad that it's good.
You're not going to get that on Life of a Kitman, are you?
I'll tell you what.
No.
This content.
Well, actually, you're right. You might get the iron to iron on the badges.
Shut up, I'm talking. This content justifies the 50 pence we get from the advertiser, doesn't it?
50 pence?
A year?
A year? What's that, a season? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Well, on that cheery note.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell. Seriously, though, obviously, next Thursday we will find out how we do in the Football Content Awards. We'll let you know. We'll probably post a nice picture of us all on the night. Unfortunately, not that all of the cohort will be going, but we will get together at some point for a team meal of some sort, whether it's a celebratory one or a commiseratory one. We don't really care. We're so delighted to be nominated, as we've said before, and of course, so thankful for you guys for voting as well. We will wait and see what happens next week, and we will, of course, let you know. There is no podcast next week. Make sure you stay tuned to our social media to find out when our next podcast will be. No football, though, on Saturday. Jim, what are you going to get up to? Does it involve a walkie-talkie?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I might just go out on my bike somewhere or walk somewhere. Boring, isn't it, with no football? I'm sick of these international breaks. Too many of them.
Sure is. Nick?
Something with my wonderful daughter. I don't know what yet, but I'm sure I'll be doing something.
Jock McTavish?
I'm going to try and seek out a local match. I think either Clipston or Ollerton or somewhere like that, just to keep the old juices flowing.
Can you wear that wig? Because no one will know who you are. So could you please just wear that?
I'm so famous now through Mansfield Matters fame. I have to wear this when I go shopping.
Can you please wear that?
Yeah, if you could do a selfie with that on.
I'm going to wear it with my dinner jacket next week.
Yes, please do. I'm banking on it. I'm absolutely banking on it. It'd be brilliant. Well, whatever it is you're doing at the weekend in the absence of football, make sure it's a good one. If you get totally bored and you want to go back through some of our old episodes, there's plenty of rounds of What's in Craig's Bucket. There's plenty of rounds of Alan, Where's You Been? And various other games from over the years, and interviews with ex-players as well. So check out our YouTube page and our Spotify page for all of that sort of stuff. And whatever it is, just remember that as the hours tick down, you're ticking ever closer to another Stags game. Well, that's all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast. My thanks as ever to the Mansfield Matters podcast panel and for you guys at home for watching and for listening. Usual Thursday crew who have it penciled in their diaries to watch us every Thursday. I'm sorry. Really, really sorry. But, life and that, we had to get it out of the way and focus on something else. A reminder that we will not have a podcast next week. Not because we haven't got a game on Saturday, but because next Thursday we'll be at the Football Content Awards in Leeds, not winning Best Podcast in the Football League. Make sure you follow us on social media to find out how we get on, and for all your handy reminders about podcast predictions and when we're next going to be live. Thanks so much for all your lovely support. We will see you on the other side in a couple of weeks' time, where hopefully we'll have a nice shiny award, even if I've got to go to the trophy shop over the road from work and buy one myself. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the best podcast in the Football League, even if I say so myself. Good night. Protect what matters most with Actifire Limited, your trusted local fire safety experts in Nottinghamshire. Proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast. From fire extinguishers and alarms to emergency lighting, pat testing and risk assessments, they've got everything you need for your business to stay safe. Affordable, reliable, professional. Because when it comes to fire protection, there's no room for compromise. Call Actifire Limited today or visit actifire.co.uk. Be ready, be safe, act now. Actifire Limited, proud sponsors of the Mansfield Matters podcast.